This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, May the 28th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and it's interesting that our weather pattern is not changing that much, but we do have some changes going on in the weather. So we'll get to those here in just a few minutes. There's the surface map for this morning, and we have high pressure over the Carolinas. That high pressure is making its influence felt across the southeastern United States. And in the upper atmosphere, we have a ridge that has been rather persistent, keeping everything off to our west and northwest. And it's doing that right now. As you can see, a fairly strong closed low coming out of the central Rockies, and that will be moving up into the western Great Lakes over the next several days. And of course, we have that system just to the north of the Bahamas. Temperatures across the United States are pretty warm, which you would expect as we get into the weekend that is the unofficial start for the summertime. Across central Alabama, we're rather mild this morning with temperatures primarily in the lower 70s, all thanks to the fact that we had clouds come in late in or during the day yesterday and stay in late last night. Radar showing that we do have some patchy, spotty kind of drizzle or sprinkles occurring across especially the western half of Alabama. But for most of us, the atmosphere is dry, and much of that is not reaching the ground. But if it does, probably rain gauges are going to record less than 1/10 of an inch. And if you happen to be driving under that, you may need your windshield wipers on an intermittent basis briefly. QPF, or the quantitative precipitation forecast for the next 5 days through Thursday, basically shows that we're not going to see much rain. And all of that coming primarily with this little bit of drizzle this morning, along with the possibility of those afternoon showers and thunderstorms. The weather's settling down a little bit as far as severe weather goes, with a marginal risk all the way from Texas up into the western Great Lakes for day 1. That's today. For Sunday, day 2, we have a slight risk over the Texas Panhandle primarily. And then for Monday, Memorial Day, day 3, we have a slight risk over the western half of South Dakota primarily, with a marginal risk extending all the way down to the Big Bend country of Texas. And I said we've had some changes going on in the weather. Yep, we had Tropical Depression 2 was identified yesterday afternoon. It is just to the north of the Bahamas this morning. It was to the northeast of the Bahamas yesterday. The spaghetti plot for the tracks are pretty grouped nicely together, so confidence is pretty high in the future forecast. And the National Hurricane Center's future forecast shows it making fairly straight beeline for the South Carolina coast, just a little bit to the north of Charleston area. And it looks like it may achieve tropical storm status before reaching the coast. And if it does, it will be named Bonnie. Interesting that this will be the second storm before the official start of the hurricane season in the Atlantic for 2016. We've already had Alex back in January, an unusual January storm. And now if this one gets named, again, it'll be Bonnie. It'll expected to come to the coast and then become a depression as much of the circulation is over land. And then just stay along the coast. So it's going to create a bit of problems for people vacationing and using Memorial Day as a reason to get to the beach along the Carolinas. But it doesn't look like this is going to be an especially dangerous kind of storm. All right, here's the 06Z GFS model run this morning. And there's our closed low over the eastern part of South Dakota, moving up into the Great Lakes. We're generally under a ridge. And believe it or not, that pattern is really going to stay with us. And as a result, the GFS suggesting that we'll see some scattered afternoon showers, probably more like isolated, especially after those sprinkles get out of here later this morning. The trough moves into the western Great Lakes, but we're still under a bit of a ridge. It's kind of beat down a little bit here, but the pattern staying pretty uniform, and isolated showers a possibility for Sunday. Monday, we see that that trough is moving across the southeastern part of Canada, and yes, it's kind of beaten the ridge down a little bit, but the ridge still in place across the eastern part of the country, and still that puts us in a pattern that will give us, because of heat and moisture being present, it'll give us those afternoon and early evening threats for showers and perhaps a thunderstorm or two. The ridge a little more visible on Tuesday, and we're beginning to see now some changes that will take effect by the end of the week as a very strong close low and trough is coming into the north central part of the United States. And across or underneath all that, we're still under high pressure, and it looks like Tuesday, once again, we're not going to see much in the way of isolated showers, but we can't rule them out completely. I think for the most part, most of us are going to actually stay dry. That close low and trough moves into the Dakotas and begins to get into the western Great Lakes area. In the meantime, there's also a little bit of a trough further south over Oklahoma, and so that will be responsible for a low over the western Great Lakes area, with a cold front trailing down into north central Texas, kind of in an arc from the western Great Lakes to just west of Chicago, and then back to the southwest into north central Texas. And that's what's going to bring us some changes at the end of the week. That trough continues to move across the Great Lakes slowly on Thursday, and the front will inch closer to us. That means that I think by Thursday, Friday, we're going to see better chances for rain. The trough really gets close to us on Friday. I think that's probably going to be the best chance we have for some rain. But again, not everybody's going to get wet. It's going to be of the showery nature. So for the 3rd of June on Friday, I think look for the better chance of us seeing some wet weather. And we've been dry for a good while now, so we could use any showers we can get. That trough will eventually move by on Saturday, and so I think Saturday we start the day out with the possibility of seeing some showers, but by afternoon we may be ending those showers and may actually be seeing some clearing, especially of the rain area. Now, looking out into Voodoo country, the GFS is continuing to show that by the Monday, the 6th of June, that we have that nice trough over the eastern half of the country. So that's replacing our ridge. So that means that we'll see temperatures on the order of about 10 degrees cooler than we've been seeing this week ahead, with highs basically in the lower 90s. So it looks like highs by Monday around the 80-degree mark, and perhaps even for Sunday and Saturday for next weekend. But all good things must come to an end, and we see that the GFS gradually takes us back to a ridge pattern by Thursday the 9th. And then by the time we get out to the very end of the period on the 12th of June, the GFS is holding out hope for another cool shot as we see another substantial trough moving across the Great Lakes area, with the trough extending down into Oklahoma and Texas, and that might promise us for another drop in temperatures around the 14th or so of June. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video for this morning. I expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning by 8 a.m. or so. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for notes on Alabama's ever-changing weather patterns. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Godspeed.